In a time when truck manufacturers are sprinting toward full electrification, GM slammed on the brakes and dropped a bombshell. A brand new V8 engine, raw power, no hybrid assist, no quiet EV whir, just mechanical muscle at a time when everyone else is whispering. And the internet exploded. Truck fans cheered. EV loyalists freaked out. But one question echoed louder than the rest. What's Ford going to do about it? Well, we finally have an answer. But it's not a louder V8. It's not a hybrid powertrain. And it's definitely not the bold counterstrike fans were expecting. Instead, Ford's move was subtle, almost cautious. And the deeper you dig, the more you realize they might be playing a completely different game than GM. So buckle up, because today we're breaking down Ford's surprising response and why it might be smarter, riskier, or just straight up confusing. Let's get one thing straight. Ford saw what GM did. You don't drop a new V8 engine in 2026 without shaking up the whole industry. But Ford didn't clap back with a louder engine or some last-minute combustion announcement. Instead, they doubled down on what they've already been pushing: electrification and transition strategies. Just days after GM's reveal, Ford quietly updated its F-150 Lightning rollout roadmap. They emphasized production refinement, range optimization, and even teased a next-gen battery platform, but not a single mention of a new V8, not even a refresh of their EcoBoost lineup. And here's the move that really stood out. Ford confirmed it's delaying the mass expansion of Lightning production into certain rural regions, citing infrastructure limitations and logistical hurdles. Translation? They know demand is soft in the heartland, exactly the demographic that celebrated GM's gas-powered curveball. Even more quietly, Ford filed a trademark update for Mega Boost, a rumored high-performance hybrid engine setup. It's not confirmed, but industry insiders think it's meant to bridge the gap between old-school power and new-age efficiency. So, what does that tell us? Ford didn't panic. They didn't pivot. They didn't try to outbark GM's engine drop. Instead, they're recalibrating behind the scenes, hedging their EV strategy without drawing attention to any combustion comeback. But here's the thing. This might not be cowardice. It might be chess. At first glance, Ford's lack of a direct V8 response feels like a misstep, especially to die-hard truck fans. But when you look closer, it might be the smartest move in the room. Because here's the truth. Ford doesn't just sell trucks, they scale them. And they've been investing billions into electric infrastructure, modular battery systems, and future-facing production models. If they suddenly reversed course with a combustion-first message like GM, they'd risk undermining investor confidence, losing EV tax incentives, and creating brand confusion in a market that's still figuring itself out. Instead, Ford's playing it differently. Rather than dropping a brand new V8, they're tightening their grip on hybrid dominance. Their PowerBoost system, a hybrid V6 that blends torque and fuel savings, has been steadily gaining market share. And behind the scenes, Ford's betting on a dual-pronged future: electric for the cities, hybrid for the real world. Why? Because they've seen what GM hasn't admitted yet. Most of America still isn't ready to go fully electric. Charging deserts, towing anxiety, sky-high EV prices. Ford knows this. So they're not fighting fire with fire. They're quietly positioning themselves as the realistic truck brand, the one that bridges the future without alienating the past. It's not as flashy as a surprise V8, but it might be way more sustainable and way more profitable. As expected, Ford's response, or lack of one, didn't exactly unify the internet. On one side, loyalists praising Ford's restraint. Truck forums lit up with users saying things like, "Ford doesn't need to flex. They're already leading with hybrids. Let GM waste time with another gas guzzler. The future's already here." These are the folks who believe Ford is playing the smart game, winning the war, not the headline. But on the other side, the old-school base is getting restless. Reddit threads are full of comments like, "So GM drops a monster V8 and Ford just updates production numbers? This feels like a missed opportunity. Lightning, ain't it?" And in the comments of GM's V8 announcement, Ford fans were even jumping ship, saying things like, "I've been a Ford guy my whole life, but GM is finally listening." The divide is real, and it's getting wider. You've got younger, city-based EV advocates praising Ford for sticking to the plan. But you've also got rural, working-class drivers, the backbone of Ford's truck sales, wondering if their brand still gets them. And that tension? It's exactly what's making this moment so critical. Because for the first time in years, Ford's fan base isn't unified. And in the world of trucks, loyalty is everything. Ford's response, calculated or cautious, just changed the landscape of the truck wars. Because now, it's not just about towing specs or torque curves. It's about brand identity, strategy, and timing. GM threw the first punch by breaking the EV narrative, bringing back raw combustion at a time when everyone's chasing quiet, tech-heavy trucks. They made noise, earned headlines, and fired up the fan base. But Ford didn't swing back. They adjusted their stance. Quietly, they're refining their hybrid lineup, delaying Lightning expansion where demand is soft, and focusing on modular flexibility, letting different regions, buyers, and work needs dictate the powertrain. That might sound like backing down, but it's actually a defensive pivot. Because Ford knows, if they rush a V8 out the door now, it feels reactive, desperate, like they're chasing GM instead of leading the space. So instead, they're betting on strategic patience. Meanwhile, Ram's been watching both sides. They haven't committed to a full electric truck yet. They've been teasing hybrid variants and concept vehicles. And now, with GM going all in on gas and Ford doubling down on balance, Ram has a wide-open lane. If they drop a bold hybrid that outperforms both competitors in real-world conditions, game on. Because here's the truth. This isn't just a war about trucks anymore. It's a war about which future people actually want, electric, gas, or something in between. And right now, Ford's walking that tightrope better than anyone else, even if it means losing the loudest fans in the process. In the end, GM came out swinging, loud, bold, and unapologetic. They gave truck fans a V8 victory lap and flipped the narrative at the exact moment people thought gas was dead. Ford leaned into the silence. No flashy unveil, no horsepower mic drop, just a slow, steady reinforcement of their hybrid-first vision, with a few subtle moves that only industry insiders caught. So now we're left with one of the most fascinating standoffs in truck history. Not just who has the stronger engine, but who actually understands the buyer better. Will raw emotion and combustion power win back the old guard? Or will calculated hybrid dominance and EV investment pay off in the long run? And what happens if Ram throws down something totally different? This isn't the end of the truck wars. It's just the beginning of a new chapter, one where silence can be louder than noise, and strategy beats spectacle. If you want to stay ahead of every move in the truck world, from surprise V8s to quiet EV shakeups, hit that subscribe button. No fluff, just the truth, every time. Because GM may have fired the first shot, but Ford? They're still loading something. We just don't know what yet.